Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 2021 comedy drama Carmen.
What in the name of God do you think you're doing?
Hey, well, I'm just reviewing every movie that has 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
You will rot in hell for this.
Hey, that doesn't seem fair. I think you're going to really enjoy this review. Carmen has a 100% fresh rating from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 98% fresh rating from the audience, which is absolutely spectacular. I think it's tied with the first Slam Dunk for the highest rating of any movie on this list from the audience perspective, and I haven't watched or reviewed the first Slam Dunk yet, so I am very excited and eager to review that as well. So this movie stars Natascha McElhone as Carmen. She was also in one of my favorite movies of all time called The Truman Show, which she played Truman's true love. And she did a fantastic job in that movie as well. She is just apparently a great actress. So this movie is set in Malta. It has 3 different languages. It has English, Maltese, and Latin. Now, I thought this movie was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was incredibly funny. It is a liberating, sort of feel-good movie, and I thought that the script was great. The acting is superb, especially from Carmen, played by Natascha. And it's just funny, and it's just whimsical. It's sort of whimsical, I guess, but it's also serious at times as well, and it blends the two very well together. I really enjoyed this movie. So the synopsis of the movie, we have Natascha, who is basically like a maid to her brother, and her brother is the priest at a church in Malta. And it goes later on in the movie into why she is a maid to her brother. It's a very kind of unfair situation to her, and the whole town talks about her because she seems like she's very sad, she's very depressed, she is very lonely, because she's basically like becoming an old maid, and she doesn't have any friends or anyone to turn to, anyone to talk to really. It's just her kind of being the slave to her brother. Now, early on in the movie, her brother passes away, and he is kind of like her economic crutch. She doesn't make any money herself. She lives in the church because that's where he is, or lives with him. And she really has nothing of her own. So when he passes away, she basically is homeless. That is until she is able to steal the key for the church door off the guard and the key to like the offering box with the money in it. So she steals them both, and she kind of lives in the church for a while they try to find a new priest. Now, obviously no one knows she's living in the church because she stole the key, and no one's actually has been going into the church that much because there's no priest there. But then one day a couple of people do show up while she's there, and she decides to get into like the confession box, and she does like this deep voice, and this girl gives a confession, and she gives advice on what the woman should do, and it's incredibly good advice. It's like practical advice. It's not the same type of like advice you would expect from a holy person. Basically, she says that her husband comes home every day drunk, and she's tired of having to smell whiskey on his breath every night, and he forces himself on her, and she doesn't always want to have sex every night, and she doesn't want to be with her husband anymore. She is afraid to leave him, and she doesn't know what to do. So Carmen basically says, well, cook him the same meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and one day he'll get bored and he'll leave. Which is, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's hilarious. I thought that was really funny. And he ends up doing it. He ends up leaving, and she comes to him, and she's like very thankful, and she's like, but I don't know like what to tell everyone. Like I can't tell everyone that he left because that would be embarrassing. And she's like, well, put up signs and say that he got lost and you can't find him. And then when he sees the sign, this happened on something else that I watched. I don't remember what it was. When you see the signs, he'll be very like he can't come back because he sees the signs that he's lost, and it'll just be awkward for him, so he won't come back. There's something else that did that. What other movie or show did that? I can't remember. Anyway, the women in the town think that it's absolutely fantastic that she was able to get rid of her husband, so now they all come to Carmen for advice on like how to get rid of their husbands and how to deal with their husbands. And it's just like these lines that form, and she's just really popular, and she gives the best advice, and she's living her best life until one day when she's caught by the sister of the person who's supposed to be the new priest, and basically she runs her out of there. She can't stay there anymore, and she calls her like ungodly, and she says you're the worst person ever. You're gonna burn in hell for this. And essentially Carmen like steals a bunch of candles and stuff, steals whatever money is left in the offering box, and heads out to this place, like the only pawn shop in town where she can pawn all this stuff. Now she pawns all this stuff, and the guy who works there is like a very attractive younger man, and he can tell that she is very hungry. She's acting very weak, so he offers her food, and he offers her lodging for the night, and she ends up selling all this stuff to him at a very expensive price, and she's like taken aback by how much he gives her, and they end up sparking up this, it looked like somewhat of a romantic relationship with each other. So it's like a May-December relationship, and honestly it's refreshing to see a movie where it's an older female and a younger male. I think the only other instance I had of this was Ollie Fear Eats the Soul. Maybe. I don't think there was any other movies like that. There's been plenty of movies where there's been guys who have been way older than the female, but not the other way around. And I actually thought that this relationship, although it was brief, to me was better than Ollie Fear Eats the Soul, if I'm going to be honest. But they strike up this relationship until one day, his name is Paulo, I believe, the gentleman she falls in love with. He shows up back to his house with like a very much younger girl. And, well, I mean, his age, younger than her, younger than Carmen, but his age. And she believes this to be his girlfriend, so she like leaves in embarrassment. And after she leaves, this guy who knows Paulo invites her on his ship where he like tries to rape her, and it doesn't actually happen. And eventually, at the end of the movie, there's spoilers. I always have spoilers. So if you're new to the channel, every movie I review is likely to have spoilers unless I specifically say that they don't. So the end of the movie, Rita, who was the sister, I might have said wife earlier, but the sister of the new priest, she is wondering why her brother's not showing up. Now, earlier in the movie, Carmen tried to explain to her that he's probably not coming, and he's just leaving her by herself. And she doesn't believe it. She like ruins a relationship that she was in because she needs to stay and help her brother out. It's a similar situation that Carmen was in, really. And at the end of the movie, Carmen is she escapes her boat captor who tries to rape her by jumping in the ocean, and Rita finds her and like jumps in and saves her, and then takes her back to town. Actually, I think Paulo ends up finding her too and takes her back to town. And when they get back to town, they allow her to like do confessions from now on, it would seem. And she rings the church bell, which was always her dream that she could never do because it was broken, but Paulo fixed it. And at the end of the movie, she's just giving confession, or she's accepting confessions from people, and like the whole town is lined up to give confessions to her. And it's quite amazing. It is quite a great ending to the movie, which I thought was a really good movie. And it's based on true events. Now, I haven't researched at all like how true the events actually are, and there's not I don't do a lot of research when I watch these movies. I did a quick Wikipedia search, but I don't think there's a lot on this movie on Wikipedia, about this movie on Wikipedia, so I don't know if it actually states how true it is to the source material, to the actual real life. But like I really enjoyed it. It's just like it's a movie, besides like the possible rape scene towards the end. It's really just a movie that makes you feel like you, even at an older age, you can take life by the horns. You can go out, you can do what you want, you can like live again. She's basically living for the first time as an older adult because she was a slave to her brother, and she really like doesn't sit around and sulk too much. She doesn't sit around and feel bad about herself. She has to survive because she has no place to live. So she like gets out there and she puts herself out there. I mean, she's stealing from the church. So I wouldn't recommend doing that because that could have all sorts of repercussions. But it's the act of her like going out there and deciding to live and not crawling into a ball and dying, and also like offering this great service to her community where she's giving spectacular advice. She sits outside the church and she watches people interact with each other, and you could tell that they're taking her advice and that they're like better off for it, and that their lives are improving, and that things are getting better for them all around the town. And she has like a smile on her face because she can see that people's lives are improving because of her. And it's a great movie to see that she now has. It's great to see that she now has purpose in her life, that she now has something to live for. She's not that same person who was walking around town depressed and sad because she had no direction. She was going nowhere. Now she has like something that she's working towards. She has a reason to get up every day so she can give these people advice and help them with their lives. And it's fantastic. It's great to see. Now I don't know if the love story of Paulo ever went anywhere. I know at the end he was there with her, but I don't know if they were still like in that same like mindset, or if that younger girl was even his girlfriend. I don't think they ever like mention her again. My hope is that they can find each other again and start dating, and she can live a happy life. But I mean, clearly her life is going to be more happy now that she's not hiding who she is, that she is able to do what she wants to do, that she's free. She's got no more weight on her shoulders. She's a completely free woman who can just live her life. And I think that's amazing. Like I said, the acting in this movie is great. The script is great. Cinematography is fantastic. I love seeing shots from other countries, especially when it involves like ocean and waves and beaches, and absolutely fantastic. I like this movie a lot. 99% of the movies on this list I've never seen, and it's tragic. Because this is a great movie, so I would recommend this movie for anyone who wants to see a fantastic movie. This was on Tubi, Tubi. I think it's called Tubi. Free on Tubi. That's where I watched it, and yeah, great. Fantastic movie, no complaints. I give it a 9 out of 10. I hope you join me next time when I review a movie called Bruiser, I believe, from 2021. I haven't watched it yet, so that'll be sometime next week. My goal is 4 movies a week. This week I did 6, so I mean, technically I only have to do 2 next week to average it out, but my goal is 4 movies a week, so we will see how that goes next week. Thank you. I hope you have a great night.